Hi, I'm Maggie. Welcome to Experiments in Crafting. Today I'm going to be reviewing the complete book of crochet stitch designs. This is a crochet stitch dictionary with 500 stitches. So let's dig into it and see what we think. So, right when you open it up, there is a table of contents showing you each of the sections of stitches. There's a basic stitch guide showing you how to make the most basic stitches, a single crochet, a double crochet, and a couple of more advanced techniques like making crisscross stitches. There's a pretty nice crochet symbol guide in here that shows you the different symbols for each of the charts that you're going to see in the book. And then as you continue in, there is an index of each of the stitches that are in this book so that you can sort of see them all together. So that's the next couple pages, and then it jumps right into the stitch guide, starting with basic single crochet fabric. So from there, it's divided into sections and just a ton of different stitches in each of the sections. Like I said, there are 500 different stitches in this book. There are no edging or motifs or Tunisian stitches, so these are all just crochet patterns. For each stitch, there's a picture, a chart, and written instructions. The written instructions are written for somebody who's been crocheting a little bit. They're not for the newest beginner. So you would have to know how to do a double crochet. There isn't instructions to yarn over, insert your hook, draw up a loop. That type of instruction is not included. It just says double crochet or chain. The charts are very clear, but they're also pretty small. They show a lot of repeats, and the repeating unit is not highlighted in any way. The pictures are pretty large, but they're really the biggest issue in this book. They're fuzzy. The yarn that they chose is not smooth and doesn't show the stitch definition very well. The backgrounds are all different colors, which provides some contrast to the white yarn in some of the colors, but then they use this tan color a lot, and it sort of just blends together, and you don't really see the stitches very well. In a lot of the cases, it doesn't look like they've blocked the pattern at all, or at least not very well. The crocheting is pretty inconsistent and doesn't really show the stitches very well. And really, as you flip through, nothing grabs your attention or draws the eye except mistakes and fuzzy pictures. For me, looking through and trying to pick something to use in a design, nothing really appeals to me. I can see the different designs in the crochet charts, but the pictures really don't reflect that pattern very well. One of the biggest examples that I can point out is that here with stitch 307, this stitch really didn't grab my attention at all in this book. However, when I started looking at the chart, I realized that it's the exact same stitch that I really loved out of another book. And so I'm going to show you that in this other book. In this book, you can see that they chose to use a bright color. It's on a white background. They worked the pattern up in thread, and so you can really see the stitches, and then you can really see the white space that this pattern creates. In this crochet stitch guide over here, they used a fuzzy yarn that doesn't show the stitches very well. Each of these stitches has picots on the top that you can't see hardly at all. And so this really isn't eye-catching or very useful for me when I'm trying to design a pattern, because I'm going to skip right past this because it's not interesting. Flipping back to the stitch index, you can see that the problem is that they've used the same color yarn, and now that they've made these fuzzy pictures smaller, you lose even more detail, and it's really difficult to find anything that you're looking for. I was trying to find this pattern to show you, and I had lost my place, and I looked through the index and wasn't able to find it. The other issue is that none of the stitches are named. which might not be a problem for some of the patterns because they might not have common names. But in some of the cases, these stitches are known by common names, like the seed stitch. So you might be looking for something and not be able to find it because there's no way to look it up. Also, with this index, it's not sorted by the categories that they've listed in the table of contents. So there's no division. You're just flipping through and you don't know when you've switched sections of the book. So I knew that the stitch pattern had picots in it, but I don't know where the picots start without flipping back to this table of contents and then back to the index, or just going to that section in the book. The only organization that you have for this book is the section names, and the section names aren't all that clear either. Certain stitch patterns can belong in multiple sections, so you have to just sort of guess. That stitch that I showed you look like little fans, but it's in the picot section. And actually right away, you'll notice that the very first section is called single crochet, and the next section is called single crochet and chains. But in the single crochet section, I would expect to see single crochet and then maybe single crochet in the back loops. But instead, I flip the page and I find 2 stitch patterns that contain only single crochet and chains, which I would put in the single crochet and chains section. So formatting on this book definitely leaves something to be desired. I can't really say that I would recommend this book. It does have nice charts and clear instructions, but for me, the layout and the photography just don't work. It has a ton of variety in stitches, but there really isn't any way to look them up or make sense of all of the stitches in this book. And in this case, bigger is just not better. This book is the largest book that I was able to get from my library. It has 500 stitches in it, but I think I would really rather have 2 or 3 books with some repeats than fuzzy pictures and the poor layout. I'll put a link in the description to where you can buy this book, but I definitely recommend that you check it out from the library first. I was fortunate enough to be able to look it over before I bought it, and I'll definitely be buying some of these stitch dictionaries, but this isn't going to be one of them. I am going to be reviewing the rest of these stitch dictionaries, so if you're interested, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.